All right, we're going to call to order Town Council regular meeting, July 21st, 2026. Our invocation will be done by Council Member Leroy S. Dingle Jr.
Let us pray. Father, we come to you and we give you praise, worship, and glory. We just thank you for allowing us to be here today. As we invoke your presence, we ask that you give us clear understanding of what's presented to us today. We ask your Holy Spirit to help us make the decisions for our town and for the people. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. And Councilman Dingle will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes, regular minute meetings, June 16th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
To approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
and council, I'd like to introduce a guest tonight, Mr. A.D. Jordan, who is the district or regional director for Senator Tim Scott. He's in the audience tonight. Mr. Jordan, would you like to come and come up to the podium and like to say a few words?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. In behalf of your United States Senator Tim Scott, thank you for the privilege of being here, but also thank you for allowing him to be your senator. I'd like to just tell you a couple of things, if I could, briefly, and that is I am the new regional director for the area. That's why you haven't seen me, because the other person moved to New Orleans. So I'm making the rounds, trying to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about what we're doing. Before you leave, I hope I can give you one of my business cards, and I would hope that you would keep that, but I would also hope that you would notice on the card my cell phone number on it. That's for a reason. That means please use it. I will answer it the best I can, and if I don't answer, please call back. How many people have told you that before? Call back. But that's my way of being serious by saying to you that we do care and we do try to provide constituent service. And speaking about that, I'd like for you to know that we have a full-time case management department that works on federal issues. And I underline that word federal, 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 because you have state representatives that work on state issues. Anything from passports to Social Security to veterans issues, IRS, Medicare, anything like that. If you have any of your constituents that have one of those issues, please let me know, and I'll be glad to get them connected to our staff. Now, can I stand here and tell you they solve every problem? No, sir, I can't. But I will tell you that they try pretty hard, and I have seen them move some mountains at the last minute. So let's give it a try. Also, we do a lot of grant support letters. And anytime that your town has a grant that you're thinking about applying for, let me know and we'll turn it in and see if we can get it approved. And anytime there's any federal legislative issues of that kind, or anything else going on in Washington that you'd like more information about, let me know and we'll get it for you. I stand here feeling like I'm among families and even friends because I too used to be a city councilman. I was a city councilman for North Charleston, and then I was a county councilman for Charleston County. That's how I met Tim Scott. I say that to let you know that I know what it's all like to run for office. I know what it's like to win. I know what it's like to make those tough decisions you have to make. And most of all, I know what it's like on your families. So my point is you have my great admiration and respect as someone that did that before you. So thank you for your service personally, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, mayor's report. June 19th, I participated in the town's first ever Juneteenth parade along with Councilwoman Lloyd and Councilman Dingle. Following the parade, a community gathering was held at the Grace Community Center. I'd like to extend my appreciation to the Moncks Corner Police Department and the Moncks Corner Fire Department for ensuring public safety during this event. On June 20th, traveled to Bluffton to support the girls' recreation softball team at the state tournament. Although the team did not secure the championship, their effort and performance was commendable. June 26th to the 28th, I attended the boys' recreation state tournament in Chirral. The team showed great determination but came up short in the final standings. I would like to extend my gratitude to the recreation department for their support of both the boys and girls tournaments. June 29th, I attended the swearing-in ceremony for Jasmine Sullivan as the evidence custodian for the forensics technician with the Moncks Corner Police Department. July 2nd, Administrator Lord and I met with Senator Lindsey Graham to thank him for grants the town recently received and to discuss additional grant opportunities. This was my first meeting with Senator Graham. The town was shocked and saddened by the senator's sudden passing. Senator Graham had a deep love for the state of South Carolina. July 3rd, I attended the street dance at Unity Park, which was a major success. We took a little poll, and everyone wants it to stay, and that's something we're going to work on to keep it every year. Councilman Dennis, Councilman Dingle was already at the event as well. July 4th, the town held its annual Independence Day fireworks show at the Recreation Complex. Attendance was strong, local vendors experienced excellent business, and the fireworks display was well received by the community. I seen Councilman Dennis, Councilman Dingle, Councilman Lloyd. There could have been more because there was a lot of people at the event. It was our first year with that fireworks vendor, and they put on a show. If you was there at the end, we had a pretty big explosion that was planned that none of us knew about, but it was really good. July 7th, I treated Sergeant Robert Thomas to a retirement lunch at the Barony House. July 8th, I met with Berkeley County Supervisor Johnny Cribb to discuss upcoming county projects within the town. Later that day, I treated the couple that were the last couple to be married at the Lacey Park Bridge prior to its closing for renovation. They invited me to the wedding, but I was out of town at the recreation tournament, so I offered them lunch. July 9th, I treated Mr. Bryce to lunch at Swig and Swine. I went on Live Alive at the farmer's market bragging about the watermelon speed spitting championship that I had, and anyone that broke it, I would take them to lunch, and this gentleman broke it by a couple of feet. So we attended lunch. He was a super nice guy. I really enjoyed our visit. That evening, I attended the informational meeting for the property purchase program for the properties located along the California branch. The meeting included presentations and Q&A segment. Councilman Dennis, Dingle, and Ware, and Councilman Sweatman were in attendance. That was an important meeting. It was good to have all of our support there for the people that have a lot of big decisions to make along the branch. July 13th, I attended the police promotional ceremony for officers Mark Clark to corporal and Brandon Chisholm to sergeant. July 10th, I attended a retirement celebration hosted by the Moncks Corner Police Department honoring Sergeant Robert Thomas for 25 years of service in law enforcement, including 10 years with the Moncks Corner Police Department. I, along with Councilman Dennis, Councilman Dingle, Councilwoman Lloyd, congratulated Sergeant Thomas and thanked him for his dedication and service. And July 14th, Town Council staff and I attended a budget workshop at Wampee Conference Center, an important annual meeting for discussing the proposed budget for the 2027 fiscal year. And then last week, Councilman Dennis, Councilman Law, Councilman Sweatman, Councilman Dingle, Councilman Ware went to Greenville for the Municipal Association's annual meeting. Some of the feedback I got was a lot of good information was presented. That completes my report. Administrator Lord.
Yes, sir. Mayor and council, I'd like to start with an introduction by Ms. Rentz.
Mr. Mayor and Town Council, I would like to introduce you to the newest hiree of the Recreation Department. This is Mr. Dwayne Jones, better known as DJ. He has been with us, he's in week 3, and he is, along with Billy Hardwick, one of our field guys. And he comes to us all the way from Cross, South Carolina. He is a Stratford High School graduate, and he has been on the staff working on fields for over 3 years with North Charleston Recreation Department. So we're very blessed to have someone with his expertise and his experience, and he is going to help continue to make our recreation complex one of the best in the Low Country, if not the state. So DJ.
All right.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. A few project updates for you. The Winter Street project should be concluding very soon. As a matter of fact, the road should be reopened after tomorrow. So-
Yeah, as I say, looks like all the equipment is gone now,
So
so,
they're doing finished work, but DOT
Okay.
won't let them open the road until
Okay.
everything's touched. So hopefully it'll be open after tomorrow. Glad to have that project done. Lacey Park, if you've been by there, it's not there anymore. So it's all been demoed. The project is well underway. That contractor is moving at a good speed. As you know, we had the NRCS property buyout meeting a couple weeks ago. It was well attended, and the response has been well received. So our contractors have been reaching out to the various property owners, and we've got some really good responses for people being interested in participating. So good to see that project moving at a good pace. And the last thing for you is we're a little late in the year, but the MOCO in the know should be published and out within the next month. So we're doing the last touches on it, and we'll get it out. Our intent is next year to get it out earlier in the year. But there's been a lot going on, so as soon as we get a draft, we have to change it. So just to keep it current. So that concludes my report, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Thank you. New business, first reading, an ordinance to raise revenue and adopt a budget for the town of Moncks Corner, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2026 and ending September 30th, 2027. Administrator Lord?
Yes, sir. So I feel like this thing is really loud, sorry. Just a couple of highlights. Of course, this represents the budget that y'all reviewed with the updates that you had. The total revenue is $23,971,074 with expenses of $22,098,136. So the most important thing is no property tax increase, no business license increase, no sanitation fee increase, no stormwater increase. So keeping everything in check on that and still able to do a lot. Now, since it was presented to you, we've had a couple of items come up for your consideration. One of them is in this budget, we do have 3 new battalion chief positions. Those positions we had anticipated using the 250 squad truck to be able to share. But looking at it, that doesn't make a very good command vehicle. And then if we're using it for that, then it can be used to tow things if needed back from the fairground. So we wanted to add a 150 truck, fully outfitted, be about $107,000 because the equipment that goes on the truck is more expensive than the truck itself, but that's just what it takes. So ask for that to be added, and also ask for 2 calling community service officer positions, CSOs. So these, a normal officer is called an LE1. This would be an LE3 position. So they would help provide security for our rec facilities, for our meetings. They would also be able to work events. And having 2 positions mean that we can have coverage 7 days a week. So the cost for the vehicle was $107,000. The cost for the 2 positions is $150,500. But the fire vehicle can come from impact fees. So you've got, after this, if you do this, you're still going to have $1.75 million in fund balance in your general fund after, if you include these things. But more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve first reading of the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget ordinance as presented, amended to include funding for 1 battalion chief command vehicle and the 2 community service officer positions.
Do I have a second?
Second. But we
Any
may
other
have discussion.
Yes, I have some discussion, please. Just to clarify a little bit, on the employee merit system raises, that goes 0 to 5%?
Yes, sir.
Would anything cause one of those numbers to go higher or lower than that?
The only time it would be higher than lower than that would be if there's, like we got a degree or anything like that. I think this came up last year. So if somebody graduated with a bachelor's or a master's, we would consider something higher than that. Or sometimes if you have a reclassification of a position. So other than that, no.
Okay. Would it be possible to obtain, and I know I've requested a salary chart for the prior year, but would it be possible to obtain current salaries and then new salary over to that and see a percentage in there that I can go back to?
Certainly.
Okay. The second part, and Tom and I discussed this earlier, but on the 2 officers that we are recruiting to monitor the rec station, how will that work with only 2 officers? And I'm not asking for more, I'm just asking.
Sure.
Because we're monitoring that place 24 hours a day. I mean, people are playing basketball at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday, and then people are walking around at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So I don't see how 2 people could.
Right, I mean, we would schedule it during the peak times. So like 3 o'clock on is when we tend to have issues. Plus you've got 2 people, so you'll have some overlap. And so on the weekends, you might have somebody come in like an early time and somebody else come in the afternoon. But having 2 people gives us the ability to have a little bit of overlap, and also gives us the ability to have a little coverage when somebody's out. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this is currently being done by our regular police officers, our LE1s, especially if we have games and things going on. We'll have an LE1 at the baseball, softball fields, and we'll have another one over by soccer fields. So it won't replace both of those, because you still want one LE1 on site, but you'll be able to replace one of them and not be paying them overtime to do that. Now, for the rest of the time that we don't have somebody on site now, we do have patrols go by and check on the facility, and that's just something that we just found to not work as good as it should, just because they have other law enforcement matters to take care of. And so this will give us the ability to have a lot more coverage out there.
And they will be dedicated specifically to the rec fields? They won't be doing patrol or?
They will not be doing patrol, and we might, like I said, bring them over here to do bailiff duties or, or security for meetings, like planning commission meeting, and things like that. Things that we have been pulling LE1s off the road for. They can't do that. They aren't allowed to do that by their certification. This would allow those officers to stay out there and work on the road.
And it is my understanding that you also investigated looking at private security, a security contractor?
We did. We looked at it really hard last year for the budget, and it was, I don't remember the number, but it was significant.
Last question. Will we be required to furnish an automobile for them? Will that increase? No?
No, so our plan is first of all, this will not be a take-home vehicle, and it's not 2 people getting a car. It'll be a vehicle that when they show up, they'll be able to use, and we're just gonna repurpose one of our older all cars.
Motor vehicles.
Yeah, since they're not patrolling.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Nope, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Jeff, Mr. Mayor, if I may, can you give just a brief, quick, what the difference between the LE 1 and 3 is?
I will call on somebody for that.
Look at that, ready to go.
One's two points higher
Mr. Mayor, council members, the question was difference between the LE1 and LE3.
That's right.
LE3 is basically just a limited duty officer, a
Okay.
limited duty. So as in limited, as in they can't go and arrest people. They're not going to be running anybody's driver's license to find out if they're wanted. That's your main difference.
So is that,
Court security and things like that, they're allowed to go ahead and do.
so is that a person that has not achieved a status of an LE1 yet that's trying to get to that position? Or are these actual positions that somebody has that they don't carry a gun, they don't carry?
So it's up to the individual. If they wanted to be
Okay.
an LE3, they could also do what Miss Jasmine over there is doing. They could go crime scene. They
Okay,
could do something like that. Not everybody wants to
yeah.
to have to go ahead and do that. But should they work out, that's another avenue that, are you interested in law enforcement? You've seen a little bit behind the curtain that we could go ahead and possibly supplement our ranks because we are short right now.
Got
It's a
it.
way to go ahead. It's a long-term job interview while protecting the rec center and the issues that we have over there.
All right, my last question on this is we went with an LE3 on this instead of an LE1, I'm guessing for money reasons?
Well,
To save money, or
yeah,
is there a
absolutely.
reason we went one way?
Yes, I mean, it's a lot more for an LE1. I mean, a lot more training has to go into it.
Okay.
You got the academy that they have to go to. I think LE1 is just 9 days. LE3 is just like 9 days of training, I think. And then you got to go through the field training. So
Got it,
there's a lot of lead time, and this is just kind of like an entryway for somebody.
got it, thank you.
I do have a question. With the LE1 position, are they going to be carrying? Or, no, it's a LE, this is,
LE3 is the lower level.
LE3 is the lower level. My apologies. So the LE3 level, will they be carrying a firearm
It's
or
my
a taser?
understanding right now that they will not be.
Okay, so they have no authority to arrest, so they have no authority to
Right. That's
use
my
force.
understanding right now. I'm speaking for Antoine, so if that changes, I apologize.
No, I won't hold you to it.
Okay.
It's just us trying to understand these different classifications and what they're capable of and not.
Sure. They can carry.
They can
The
carry.
LE3, so there's an LE3 and there's an LE3 advanced. One of them
Okay. So they
would need to
can,
go ahead and be,
that's just a decision we need to make.
yes.
All right, now I have another question because of that. They can carry, but they cannot arrest somebody?
Yes, that's correct.
It's like a security guard.
Yeah,
Just like Trident Security, they can't arrest anybody. They still need to go ahead and basically observe and report.
So Jay, they will not detain you, they will tase you.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, I can't arrest you, but I can shoot you. Have we looked at the difference to hire an LE1 in this position versus, I mean, the cost doesn't seem like it would be that significantly different to just
it is significant.
It's the.
Have an
they're
LE1?
In 107 and an officer is in a 111 pay grade.
Okay,
So it's 4 pay grades above.
okay. Answer my question. Thank
Are
you.
both required to be graduates of the police academy or no?
No, they do a much lesser extent. There's some training that goes into being able to go ahead and do what they do, but no, it's not anywhere near as extensive as LE1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to comment that, this is something we have really struggled with for really since Harmony Park opened up. One of our workers was actually assaulted by a door because the young lady kept locking herself into the bathroom. Libba and myself went over and got her out. That was after she cussed out a family that was having a birthday party with a 6-year-old. We've had homeless people that go in there right before the bathrooms close and lock theirself in there. And we've had sinks destroyed and different things destroyed. And it's just a constant battle. And, you know, for an officer to come through, it's random, right? They might drive through and see something. They might drive through and not see nothing. So, you know, our whole thing is to give our citizens a good experience when they visit our facilities. And right now, a lot of times, we're not. And this is just going to help us to be able to do that. And we have thought outside the box. We have tried different things, and this is just where we feel like we need to go to fix some of these problems.
Can I do one more
Yes.
thing? I'd like to look into one thing. A lot of the colleges, or every college and university now, has the emergency box. You're walking through campus at night, it's lit up. Would that be an option or a good idea to put around our park? Because obviously one officer can't cover that amount of acreage all at once. If somebody's on the back trail versus somebody's up at the front, at the playground versus someone, thank you, someone's at the basketball court, I mean, it may be beneficial to have that, whereas officer's not there that day. It's one of our slow days there, that one of our citizens could hit that emergency box that alerts the police, because they may not be able to get to their phone.
Yeah, we can look at that, absolutely.
Yes. All right. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Old business, second reading and public hearing, an ordinance to amend the Town of Moncks Corner Code of Ordinances to establish regulations for the safe operation of electronic bicycles, e-bikes, and electric e-scooters. Administrator Lord?
Yes, sir. As we presented last time, I mean, this e-bikes and e-scooters are a new thing, and they're on the roads, they're on the sidewalks, and a lot of jurisdictions have been adopting rules to regulate them for everybody's safety. So, you know, what this one does is it doesn't allow them on roads that are more than 30 miles an hour. So it keeps them on your smaller streets. It says they can't operate them in a reckless manner. They can't go on a sidewalk, but they can do it on a multi-use path. So that way you're trying to avoid that pedestrian vehicle issue. You know, obviously they can't do anything that damages property. They can't pile on and have more people on the vehicle than it's designed to carry. And they themselves cannot go more than 25 miles an hour. Again, that's just to keep the injuries down. And just like a car, you can't use your phone. You can't use a mobile device while you're operating it. It does require a helmet for anybody under the age of 16. Requires that it has brakes. It does have lighting requirement if they drive at night. And then, again, it's just you know, they can't operate it on a sidewalk, but they can if it's a multi-use path designed for multimodal. Again, this is similar to what you see in other jurisdictions.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
We have a public hearing.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Does anyone here want to speak at a public hearing on this? Okay.
I have a question on this. So I understand this ordinance. The only thing that concerns me a little bit with it is some older people have e-bikes, and I get kind of nervous if they're forced to ride down Main Street and going around cars parked on the side of Main Street, and they're going into traffic. That's my only concern with this ordinance. So we're forcing them into the road. Yeah, I know bicycles, do we allow bicycles on the sidewalk?
Yeah, bicycles are not supposed to be on the sidewalk, but obviously they do. I think the issue is the speed and the mass that e-bikes carry.
That's right.
So they just do more damage if they hit somebody.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, they just had one in New York in Central Park. A woman was jogging and an e-bike hit her, and she's had brain swelling. They had to take out a piece of her skull. It's just super dangerous because of the speed. We're trying not to, because I got a little feedback from the public about, you know, trying to take the fun away from the kids. We're not trying to take the fun away, but we've seen them zigzagging from sidewalk to road, just shooting out in front of people. Seen them riding wheelies down the sidewalk, you know, and imagine someone walking out from a blind spot and getting hit by one of those. So we just have to give our police department some kind of bite, something that they can enforce when they do see the recklessness. I mean, we see bicycles on sidewalks, we see golf carts on sidewalks, and they're not supposed to be there. You know, it's tough. I get it. I sold my golf cart because it just made me too nervous with the grandkids on it to be in and out of the roads. You know, it's bad enough when you're driving in a car anymore trying to get somewhere, but I understand exactly what Councilman Ware is saying. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Second reading and public hearing, consider a zoning map amendment ZA-26-05, request for two parcels, TMS 143-05-00-015 and 068, totaling a little under 2.032 acres, located on Rembrandt C. Dennis near Cooper River Boulevard. The parcels are requesting to be zoned general commercial C2. Justin?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, as you mentioned, these are two parcels, roughly slightly over 2 acres, fronting on RC Dennis. They also have a slight frontage to the rear to a residential side street. They're currently zoned single-family R2, which allows for only single-family detached dwellings, permitted uses as such. These are the parcels highlighted in blue. You can see they do have direct access to George Street and Finnick Drive. One comment that came up previously at the last meeting was access by whoever decides to develop this property. Staff obviously would make sure that rear access to the residential street from that commercial aspect would not happen. They do have direct frontage on RC Dennis, so there's no need to give that. This is the zoning. You can see there is some R2 along RC Dennis, but this is adjacent to the C2 that's already on RC Dennis, as well as the C1 that's across from Stony Landing Business Park. The surrounding is R2, C2, C1. General commercial, what is that? That's broadly known as our wide open zoning district for commercial, retail, office, service establishments, everything from a Walmart all the way down to, a 7 Brew and anything in between. Is this property big enough for the Walmart? No, but 7 Brew and some other aspects, automotive-based commercial is definitely plausible. Permitted uses, as I said, run the gamut of business, commercial, retail sales, business, professional offices, financial, banks, service establishments such as lawn and garden and other contractors, such as landscapers and residential contractors, restaurants, bars, including drive-throughs, private clubs, walk-ins, hotels, motels, and again, like I mentioned, the wide open general commercial. Does allow for the same special exceptions as our other zoning districts, such as churches, non-certified modular buildings, chain link fences, and the like, which would have to get a BZA special exception approval. Staff does not require TIA at this point, pending a use. No use has been identified or made known to staff at this point. But should one come in that we feel a TIA is triggered either by the zoning ordinance or the zoning administrator's understanding of the project, we do reserve our right to require TIA later. The town comp plan adopted in 2024 does identify this area as a single-family houses duplex, otherwise known as town character residential. However, this is in line with what we interpreted it to be the highway corridor overlay, which was not officially, it's not identified on the map, but it was under the 2024 comp plan. We also feel that it's in harmony with one of the goals of implementation strategies to provide additional economic opportunities in the area. Again, staff, it's not consistent with the town character residential, but is with the adjacent existing commercial use types along RC Dennis and one of the goals of that comp plan. At this point, staff recommends approval. Planning Commission recommended approval on May 16th. July 21st was y'all's first reading of this. This is the second reading and public hearing. I'm available for any questions should you have any.
I have quite a few. So I'll start. There's an established neighbor. Can you pull the map up,
Yes, sir.
please? Can we go to that next one? So there's an established neighborhood. It's been in existence a long time that backs up to there. There's an established neighborhood across the street as well. There is some C2, but it's vacant land C2 that is right next door and across the street. All of that's currently vacant C2. My concerns are this, that George Street and Finnick Drive there both go to Highway 52, nope, yes, Highway 52, and give access through there. I hear what you're saying about we will not give them access. However, that property line right there butts right up to where that street comes at that corner. And I don't know how you stop a business from being able to utilize a back entrance off of that street, which then becomes a drive-through point for vehicles from Rembert C. Dennis through that neighborhood. How do you prevent that?
Zoning interpretations that were codified in the new zoning ordinance that we're currently writing. If it was submitted today, it would be my interpretation that that is a residential street accessed by commercial and therefore not inconsistent spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance. And so therefore we challenge that. We have done this before, and this was also around the corner. If you remember a previous zoning ordinance that y'all heard, I believe January or February this year, along Fairgrounds, we had that very similar concern, but staff would ensure that there's no commercial access to a residential property or residentially used roadway.
Except, my question is how? Because other than putting curbing around that backside, you can't stop me from coming in that backside to get into that business if the backside of my business is on that property, or my staff from coming in there, which then creates an access point.
When I make the engineer install a 50-foot undisturbed buffer on that rear end, it's gonna be a little hard to get up far.
So you're gonna have an undisturbed 50-foot buffer from that neighborhood
Yes, sir.
on
Use
that
type,
side?
yes, sir, use type to use type. Anything retail or high-intensity commercial would have at least a type A undisturbed buffer. And it's not just undisturbed, it would be bolstered. They only get credit for what they already have. So it's not 50 feet and whatever they have, it'd be 50 feet, whatever they have, and more.
Got it. This George Street technically runs all the way to Rembert C. Dennis.
Yes, sir.
How wide do you have any idea how wide George Street is at Rembert C. Dennis?
My understanding is less than 20 feet.
Okay, so it's not a ingress egress, it would be a legally paved access point at any point in time. So that property stays as a buffer until indefinitely?
Yes, sir.
Kind of thing. So it buffers that property, and I say that with the consideration that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lots that come off of George Street on that non-developed end right there. Those lots have not been developed. However, at any point in time, somebody could come in there and want to develop those lots, and then there's going to be a through street right there.
Yes, sir.
I just want that aware. I just want everybody clear on that. That street is not an automatic cutoff just because we say so. That street can go all the way to that last property right there as long as they open up that street if they decide to sell that. Right now, it's undeveloped.
Correct, with the exception that we don't take on roadways, and Berkeley County requires a minimum of 50-foot right-of-way to establish any publicly maintained roadway, and we don't accept private roads.
So effectively, those lots to the north are landlocked unless someone develops the rest of that area.
For the most part, yes. Now, would the town allow a private driveway? Absolutely, but any commercial driveway would have to be 22 feet. And as the property is only, or the right-of-way through there is only 20 feet wide, they are effectively prohibited. Now, in addition to that, the same technique of landscaping buffering to the rear would also apply to the north, which would require a 5 to 10 foot buffer along that edge, because any property that fronts a right-of-way, regardless of how wide that is, if it's not addressed off that road, and these parcels will be addressed off RC Dennis, would require a 5 to 10 foot landscape buffer, as well as undisturbed.
Do we have any authority as the town to take possession of George Street? To maybe put the residents at ease? Or is this DOT or is it county property?
I believe it's going to be DOT, and we could ask for it.
Nicely.
Well, what would be the point of taking George Street? Why would we want to do that?
you maintain that buffer and ease the residents on both George and
If you
Pinnock
own
about
those-
that being developed into a private driveway that all of us know at 20 feet wide will eventually be used by anyone else using those two current R2 parcels that are being rezoned C2?
The problem I have with that is now you're wanting the town, though, to take over a road to effectively create a landlocked situation for those 4 lots. What if somebody's keeping those 4
No,
lots for their
that's-
family to build on later? I think what you're gonna end up with is you're gonna end up with a small dirt road through there at some point in time, eventually, whether it's this generation, next generation, whenever it is. And all I'm trying to do is prevent a future issue with these residents that have been there for a long time from having through traffic, trying to avoid stoplights coming through their neighborhood. And so that was why I was wondering how we control that. I don't think we can control this one little slip right here. If that ever gets created, they're gonna have to control that on their end. Fair enough, at Rembert C. Dennis, right? I'm more concerned about people cutting through this commercial and coming through the back of there. And what you're telling me is there's gonna be a 50-foot buffer between those neighbors so that they won't have that issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm good
Will
with
that
that.
be written into the zoning? Can we add that language to the zoning? This zoning will be turned from R2 to C1 or C2, whatever they're going for. But when it's rezoned, the western side of those two R2 lots that will be rezoned have to include a 50-foot buffer. Could we include that on the zoning?
While we can't condition this request because it wasn't requested by the applicant as a conditional zoning, so short answer, no. Long answer is, the good news is that's already codified in the zoning ordinance as is. So it's not a 50-foot buffer, because I'm trying to make y'all feel better. It's in our zoning ordinance, use to use, residential to new commercial would require a 50-foot buffer. So that's already codified and memorialized in our ordinance.
So it doesn't
They
have
can't
to
get
be,
out of it.
yeah,
Correct,
it
yes,
does
sir.
not have to be written.
Yes, sir.
When they come in and apply to put a Starbucks there,
Yes, sir.
their engineering will have to include that buffer so that the residents aren't affected.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, 2 things to touch on councilmember laws is one of the benefits for that through street that we can hang our hat on is that would require driveway curb cut and an encroachment permit through NCDOT or South Carolina DOT. That is too close per the arms manual to Stony Landing Road. They're not gonna allow that. They're specifically not gonna allow that if
Right.
there's already a commercial curb cut for these 2 properties in question.
Well, I was more, that's what I said was that we would be able to stop the access point there from Rembert C. Dennis. I'm not too worried about that. I was more concerned about them coming through this as a commercial business. You open up a business right there and people are cutting through your parking lot. Unless you've got some kind of curbing to stop that or some type of trees, like you said, they're cutting through businesses to get wherever they're going. And that, I want to prevent that use is what I was getting at. So can you explain to me real quick, or really just for the general population, I guess, too, C1 and C2, can you explain, because you've got a lot of C1 around here, you've got C2, and you've got a lot of residential. Can you explain why we're not going C1 on this property?
The request of the applicant.
Can you explain the difference between the C1 and the C2?
Yes, sir. Think of it as commercial and commercial light. So C1 is the commercial light. That's going to be our office institutional type uses.
Right.
Banks, small restaurants without drive-through, 2,000 square feet or less. Offices, professional style offices, not contractors, but basically just retail offices, residential like real estate offices, accounting firms, travel agencies, things of that nature. Now C2 is basically anything else.
Yes, anything else.
Yes, sir.
So restaurants, bars,
Mechanic shops.
auto mechanic shops.
I believe a mechanic shop might be allowed in C1 now, but bars, restaurants, clubs, things of that nature. Yes, sir.
Okay, which is all right on top of these residential neighborhoods, which are primarily surrounded by C1. So why would we go with a C2 zoning? I know it's a request of the property owner.
Yes, sir.
But why would we, as council, be looking at this as a C1 zoning or C2 to allow for everything to go in those people's backyard or front yard versus a C1 zoning?
That's a very good question.
Do we have any idea what the intent for this property is?
No intent's been expressed to staff. Staff had a conversation over the phone with the property owner's real estate agent or representative. Shortly after that, the application was made. We've reached out to the applicant to let them know about different meetings and such, but that's the limited conversation we've had with them.
I know you're going to call for it, but is there anybody from the public I'd love to hear from if there was?
Yeah, once we
around here?
get done with the questions. Across the street, one of the C2, I think one of the smaller ones, has a sold sign on it. Have we heard anything from anyone?
The C2 directly across the street from that is going to be, and plans are actually have been in with staff for several months with our back and forth with their engineers. That is going to be a storage mini warehouse, climate controlled, internal access only. I believe it's 5 buildings. They are fairly close to getting site plan approval, and building permits should be shortly in after that, and relatively easy since it's going to be repeated the same 5 buildings. On the C2 right south of that, where you see the little cutoff, that is a laydown yard or a gravel parking lot, essentially, for RVs and boats. Now, both of these uses required, just to be full disclosure and transparency, both of those use types required special exceptions to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they do have the ability to implement conditions because it is a use-specific request on a property-specific request. And in this case, both of these properties are subject to I believe, a 5 or 7 foot tall masonry wall along RC Dennis to shield the public's view from those use types, as well as the residents behind where you see the light R1 on those other sides. So those were vetted pretty well through the BZA to make sure those intense uses are mitigated from the residential. The C1 right to the north of that on the corner of Stony Landing Road the entrance to Stony Landing Business Park and RC Dennis, I believe is a former engineer. I think it used to be LBE if I'm not mistaken, so it might be vacant now, smaller building, but we are starting to see the edges of the map fill in along RC Dennis and more commercial look at. Again, that being said, staff has not been made aware of any future use for these properties.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, these C2s right in here, the conditional zoning for them backing up to those neighborhoods is we knew going into those that was not a noise request, meaning wasn't going to be a restaurant, it wasn't going to be utilized as a bar, anything else backing up to those neighbors. If I'm correct, I also believe there was a significant buffer that was required of those as well. Do you remember that?
I believe that's accurate without having those notes.
I believe it was more than 50 feet, but I can't remember exactly either. Okay. I've asked my questions. Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? Please come up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Walter Brown, 114 Finney Drive. Thank you, Councilman Paul. Very good questions. I don't understand how, is the map still up? Very good. What zonings are in place that would prevent, once this property is, let me stop for a second. I'm opposed to the property be rezoned to commercial. At the last council meeting, at the first reading, I expressed those reasons, essentially what Councilman Law expressed, because once this property is zoned to commercial, it's going to be very difficult for the town, even zoning, to keep traffic from coming through that neighborhood. You're shaking your head, Mr. Dennis, but that I did hear him. But let's give you an example. C2 on that end, that's the fairground. You know what's going on at the fairground right now? There's a laydown yard, and it is growing every day. You weren't able to prevent that from happening. So to allow this property that's been residential to become commercial, I highly doubt it that you're going to prevent or keep the developer with even a 50-foot buffer. That's a huge buffer for a developer. I don't know how many parking spaces that would be, but it would be difficult for the town, even the zoning, to keep the traffic from coming through there. You can establish something, but I highly doubt it. And for that little strip on George Street that goes through to Lemon C. Dennis Boulevard, I would suggest that you take that over, because what you would be doing, you would be creating a landlock, because the property owners there would no longer have access to that, to even George Street. So yes, I'm opposed to that. So again, I would ask that the council really consider your vote on rezoning this property to commercial, not to tell someone what to do with their property, because I wouldn't want you to tell me what to do with mine. However, let's keep in mind that as a property owner, you should not be able to increase the level of your property 2 feet, and then when it rains, the water runs onto mine. That shouldn't be allowed. So this is essentially what you would be doing here. If this property is zoned to commercial C2, the traffic, people are not going to go to Stony Landing Road or go to Main Street Extension to come to town. They're going to come through George and Finney. That's exactly what's going to happen. The same way now that you have, as I just said, you have a laydown yard on a commercial property. You have not been able to correct that. So I don't see how you're going to correct the traffic from coming through Finney and George Street. I've said that, but let me share something else with you. According to Chapter 9 of South Carolina Local Government Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act of 1994, Section 6-29-760, procedurally, this property should have been posted for neighbors, the community to know about this hearing tonight. That did not happen. It's also Article 12 of the zoning procedures for the town of Moncks. There was no posting on Lemon C. Dennis Boulevard, nor were there any posting on George or Finney Drive. Not that you would be breaking the law, but you would not be adhering to the law. So a vote tonight would not be in order for this property. For procedurally, the posting did not happen. I can't tell you whether it was listed in the newspapers or not, but you don't get to pick and choose whether you do one or the other. You have to do both. And I can tell you that the signage to let the residents know, and I would suspect if those people who have built those homes on George Street knew about this, I would not probably be the only one here. So, again, there was no notification of that neighborhood that this hearing was to take place tonight. Thank you.
Justin, you want to address that, please?
Yes, sir. I directed my staff to put out signs both on both road frontages. Oftentimes, those signs do go missing. I never get my signs back, to be honest with you. So whether they were posted, I don't have any doubt that they were. Whether they were up the entire time, probably not. Every time we post something in this town, 9 times out of 10, when we go back to pick up the signs are long gone. So how long they were there, I'm not sure, but we did post them within our 15 days that we usually do.
And reiterate, you're sure you can stop that access to that neighborhood with the zoning that we have now?
Yes, sir. Not only do I believe the zoning ordinance gives me and my staff the full authority to do so, not to mention what normally would take place in our civil engineering design phase with the engineer, just the likelihood of them wanting to in the first place. That being said, Not only do I believe we can do it, I think that staff, particularly Carter and myself, have a very strong track record since we've been here to ensure that developers, particularly commercial developers, are held to a higher standard and ensure that nothing happens. Furthermore, should something happen after we approve a site plan, they are then in fact in violation, and until they bring it back into compliance. So let's say we design the site plan to not have access to George and Finnick, and they go ahead after the fact and curb cut it anyways, we will then cite them into oblivion.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, two questions. One is, I understand the buffer thing.
Yes, sir.
You put a restaurant there, you cannot buffer the smell from the garbage cans going into that neighborhood. That is one problem I have, regardless of traffic going through there or not, you can't buffer that. If this was, what the property owner is requesting is a C2 zoning, so if we were open to a C1 zoning, the only thing we could do would be to have them come back, or could we recommend that here now?
It was not advertised that way, to Mr. Brown's point. It was
Okay.
advertised as C2.
Okay,
So therefore, and not to mention, the planning commission did not make a recommendation on that C1, or nor conditions.
Thank you.
So it would have to start over.
got it.
And they don't have anyone here representing them tonight.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We already called for public discussion.
Is there anybody else?
Was there anybody else? All right, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to ask for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
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 All right, it failed. Thank you. Public input. If you signed up for public input, I'll call your name. Please come to the podium. You have 3 minutes to speak. This gives the citizens a chance to give town officials feedback. If you'd like any follow-up and have checked the box on the sign-up sheet, someone from the appropriate department will be in touch. This meeting is for council and I to conduct the business of the town of Moncks Corner. Mr. Brown?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. 114 Finnick, that's Walter Brown. I'm happy that I signed up for public comment because I would not be able to respond to Mr. Westbrook's comment. I'll tell you this, I periodically, in particular in this case because I have a personal interest in it, I checked that area. Those signs did not go missing. I took pictures periodically during that 15-day period. Those signs did not go missing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Rick Johnson?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just wanted to say something for the little guy.
Give us your name and address, please.
Rick Johnson, live in Stony Landing, Maple Crest Drive. I was a little irritated with the sanitation department for not picking up my limbs for a couple of weeks. So I called the department and just wanted to recognize, let's see, Alma Asbrook. She's the one that answered the phone. I was a little irritated, and she was professional, calmed me down. Basically, she did what she said she was going to do. She called me back the next day, got the trash removed, and she acted like the way I would like my employee to act. So I would like to recommend her for Employee of the Month. And I put it in writing for you.
Yeah, give it
I
to
don't
Marilyn.
know, I don't know Alma.
Rick
I've
is-
never even seen her before.
Her supervisor's right there.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And if you've been a week or so, please call, because they're really good about going out.
Yeah, they came by the next day. They just said they overlooked it. First it was, did you have the limbs cut to the right length? And I was, yes, but they came out.
Well, we like to hear the good stories, so.
I tried to irritate her, but she wouldn't get irritated. Anyway, thank you.
All right. Executive session. I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss negotiations related to a proposed contractual agreement I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We're now in executive session.
Grandchildren.
They're gone. They done went to Walmart. That saved me a ton of money. Oh. I done told them to go. I was trying to save some money. I need a motion to go out of executive session.
Motion to go out of executive session into regular session.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're now out of executive session. Are there any other matters to come before council?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we continue our IGA agreement with the county.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
For clarity, IGA agreement for CDBG participation.
What he said.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is